HyzerMedia's tournament coverage of the final round for Women's Open of Pennsylvania, sponsored by Home Again Disc Golf. We are headed into the third and final round of this event. We have moved from Hidden Hollow over to Kline's Run course for our final round. Thank you to all of our sponsors. My name is Emily Dale, and joining me today is Kayla Hess.
Yeah, it's been a great round of golf so far. These 2 rounds have been great. Excited to see what our lead card can put together here to finish it out.
Absolutely. Some familiar faces on our cards today, and we'll see how they tackle this course. So hole 1, it is a 260-foot par 3. The OB on this course does play as the path that you can see winding throughout the course, so that doesn't come into play on a lot of the different holes here.
Kicking it off, 11-15, shooting a 12 down in rounds 1 and 2 combined. Lori Merriman!
You see Lori take the tee here first with her sizable lead from yesterday's rounds, but we do see that she does have some folks hot on her pursuit.
Yeah, these holes at Kline's Run can be much more difficult than Hidden Hollow, so multiple strokes can be given up on even just one hole. But Lori seems to throw a pretty nice shot there. Might be a little far to the right, but she should have a good approach into the basket.
11-15, shooting a 7 down between rounds 1 and 2.
And you can see players
Nayah,
here are
Cruz.
covered up and layered up. The temperature was a lot cooler on our second day. It dropped by about 20 degrees, and we had some really strong winds, so players were battling a lot today.
Nayah throws this one a little bit higher. Doesn't get quite as much distance, but she should still be in a relatively good spot.
This is a great opening hole, so we did have a lot of wind, like I mentioned, so throwing uphill and trying to get that nose angle correct is not easy, so we're seeing the players starting to try to navigate that as we start their round here.
Molly looks to get a pretty good height on that one. Gets it, makes good progress up the hill and up the fairway.
Also shooting a 3 down between rounds 1 and 2, Nikki Ross.
You can hear the wind. You might have noticed in the drone flyover, the course looked a little bit greener. That was partially due to the fact that we did have to use drone footage from the summertime because it was too windy to fly over today. So gives us a nice little flashback to what it looked like a few months ago. We'll see our players approach the green here. Looks like everybody was a little bit far out to snag a birdie on this hole.
Yeah, it was quite chilly out there, even just at Tournament Central. The wind was coming through. I stole that big jacket from my dad and told him he wasn't getting it back.
Smart move.
Smart layup there by Lori. Molly taps in her putt.
Some good pars to start with. This day we did start with a tee time as opposed to the shotgun start, so at this point the FPO lead card will be the last to tee off, so we'll be able to have a gallery following along. Headed into hole 2, thank you to Boulder Woods for sponsoring this hole. It is a par 3, 206 feet, but this one comes with quite a few challenges. So this green is nestled right on the hill, and it is one where we have seen some absolutely brutal rollaways.
Lori looks to have released that one a little early, but luckily misses that main tree there and should be in a nice spot. Maybe wanted a little bit more distance, though. Nayah takes this more outside route, and That is the dangers of hole 2.
Yes, thankfully it looks like she curled up. You can see our spotter down there taking a peek as we've had.
Oh no.
Oh, and I spoke too soon. And that's
Yeah.
the treacherous hole 2 for you at Kline's Run.
Yeah, luckily she'll still be in bounds, but it is one huck of a shot to get back up that hill. Molly, as long as this sits, that's a beautiful shot by her. And it looks, oh.
I think that might be a leaf. I think I might have
Okay.
a leaf definitely.
Nayah's forehand here.
Yep, and thank you to our spotters for spotting on this hole as well. Does look like she did get a little bit of a roll down the hill.
Nikki leaves it a little short, but that should still be a close enough putt.
Great birdie there from Molly.
Nice par save there by Nayah. Nikki puts in her par as well. Yeah, hole 2 can definitely be a tricky one. If your drive rolls down the hill, it can be very, very unforgiving.
Absolutely. So hole 3, it is a par 4, 388 feet. So our FPO players are going to be playing to the orange baskets on some of the holes. The orange baskets are the longer tee pin position. So we will be going beyond where that green pin was, over the hill here, and to the orange basket.
See Molly taking the tee box with that nice birdie on 2. Oh.
This is a newer pin position, so many of the ladies may have not played this before. This may be one of the first times it's been played in a tournament round as well.
Lori gets a good amount of height. Unfortunately, hits that little bush there, so might prove to be an obstacle for her.
The bush seemed to suck a lot of discs, and I saw quite a few of them get trapped by that. But not a terrible position to be. It does give you a look up into the gap that you would need to get down into the long basket. Looks like that was a little bit low out of her hand, but it might have nestled up nicely. Molly's looking up at the gap that's going to put her down. It almost looks like she's throwing into the woods and over the cliff, but that's where the pin is.
Yeah, hits a tree at the end there, so maybe not as close as she would have wanted, but she might have a scary look at it.
If you are familiar with Kline's Run, the long pin position for hole 3 is where the short pin position for 4 used to be. So it is up on the hill there. You can see the basket sneaking through the trees.
Yeah. Oh. Maybe doesn't put quite enough on that one, but she should be right at the opening to look at the basket. Oh. Shot was looking really good before that tree. Lori, as long as that sat, that should be pretty good.
And these layups here from the top of the hill are terrifying.
Oh. Did that stick or did that roll down?
It sounded like the card said it might have hopped the log there, but it does look like it might have gotten caught, so.
Yeah.
Oh, does look like she did skip over the log and roll down. This course is much longer than the one that we have played previously, so players are getting back into those longer drives, more powerful shots. And we do have some beautiful views at this course. Kline's Run is nestled on the side of the hill overlooking the Susquehanna River, so it's absolutely gorgeous location. It's a great course, and shout out to everybody who made the course look in tip-top shape for today.
Yeah. One of my favorite views is looking out at the river at hole 5's basket. Maybe we'll get to see a little bit of it when we get to there, but it was actually the inspiration for last year's Women's Open of PA stamp on the discs. So very, very, very pretty course.
So speaking of people who maintain the course, York County Disc Golf Club, thank you to them for all the work that they put in here. Hole 4 is another par 4 to the orange baskets, 394 feet.
Lori up here first. Ooh. Looks to have released that one a little low, a little early. Oh, but
I don't know. Looks like we had a little bit of a roll away there. Nayah will be up next, looking to hopefully gain some strokes with a birdie on this hole. It's nice having some par 4s again after having a course with primarily par 3s, having some nice scoring opportunities here.
Yeah, and that'll be even more prevalent on the back 9 where there's mostly par 4s. I believe there's only 3 par 3s.
And that looked like a great shot there from Molly. She got good distance and good height getting her around the corner, which should give her a nice look to head into the green for her second shot.
Beautiful drive there by Nikki. That'll put her well up the fairway and looking at the basket.
Nayah's getting tricky, taking a local route there through the trees. Looks like Lori's footing might have been a little bit obstructed. She did go for a standstill there, but got some good distance. Molly's drive looked great, but it got her stuck in a bush, it seems.
Yeah, talk about obstructed. But she seems to have a good shot from there. Not too much you can do. Nice shot there by Nikki. She'll have a long look for the birdie.
Yeah, looked like that nestled up just edge of circle. Looks like Nayah opted for an overhand shot. That did look like it got her most of the way out of the woods there, but that'll be a long look for her shot.
Thank you.
Oh, Molly going with a trusty Berg forehand. I played with Molly out in Pittsburgh, and there was a few times that she had a nice forehand throw in with the Berg, so I love to see her going for it again.
Nayah with a nice pitch up there. Nikki nearly making that birdie putt. Smiling it off, though.
Good par there.
Nayah put in her bogey as Lori puts in her par. And Nikki does that as well.
So as we head into hole 5, as you mentioned, it is one of the most picturesque holes on the course, sponsored by the Reading Housing Authority and Nydia Rivera. Hole 5 is a 224-foot par 3, but it does have quite a bit of elevation gain that makes the whole play a lot longer than 224 feet. So you might see players reaching for a fairway or even a distance driver to get them up into the green.
Wow, beautiful shot there by Lori. She'll be basically parked for her birdie. Molly puts a nice line on this one. Didn't get quite as much distance, but she'll still have a putt.
Sounds like the card likes it, and for good reason. That'll give her a nice look for birdie. Nayah gets caught up there early. It's hard to get the height right, especially with the wind coming up here. We're on the exposed side of the mountain, so it is challenging to get the angle right, but we'll see what the players make of their putts here. Oh my goodness. She cashes this one.
Yeah, talk about putts. That's definitely one for the highlight reel. Big putt there. And I mean, if anyone's gonna catch Lori, it's gonna take putts like that. But anything can happen at Kline's, I will say.
This was huge. So much power, perfect angle, perfect putt.
Nice putt there by Molly. Good birdie.
Yes, not to be outdone. It's sometimes nerve-wracking when the person before you makes a huge putt like that, but these ladies are showing composure well. Looks like the wind pushed that down a little bit for Nikki. She'll have a nice par and a tap-in birdie for our leader.
Yeah, this hole did play as the easiest of the day, averaged a whole half stroke under par, and our lead card just showed us why.
Yep, so hole 6, this is one of the longer holes for the orange position, sponsored by our national champion, Brenda Wiltgen. It's a par 4, 554 feet. Players can choose kind of their own pathway down this fairway, fighting through the trees, and they will make their way down to this orange pin position. The path on the left-hand side is OB, so players will oftentimes opt for the right side gap to try to make their way up this fairway.
Lori with a pretty good shot there, getting her down the fairway.
So it looks like Molly did drift down. This fairway does split. So where Molly landed, she might be down on the lower side, which would give her almost a backdoor pathway up to the basket.
I'd say this is one of the...
I think that might be using 15's fairway a little bit, but gets us where we need to go, right?
Yeah. Nikki was a little bit higher, but she should still be down the fairway. I'd say this is one of the more iconic holes at Kline's, just because the maze of trees players have to go through to get to the basket. Nayah throws a nice forehand there.
I lost it. That leaf threw me off.
A great shot there from Lori. You can see it gives her about 200 feet back into the basket. Molly's left with some awkward footing again. Going for a turnover shot to get herself back in the fairway. Great distance there. Like you said, this is really a maze of trees to navigate, and you can see each of these players taking a different route to get there. Great forehand there from Nayah. Beautiful shot.
I'll put her right next to the basket. Oh. And unfortunately, Lori skids out of bounds. Luckily, she'll be went out pretty close to the basket. That needs to curl back in. And Molly will be inbounds as well, just scooted a little past.
Looks like Nikki went a little long here, but stays in bounds.
Ooh, and a good run there.
Lori trying to catch that comebacker, but coming up a little bit short.
Yeah, I can only imagine what the wind was doing. Players, not only to the discs, but just their mental game and.
Yeah, you can see the struggles these players are having. It was difficult to judge the wind. You weren't sure if it was going to push your putter down, lift it up. It seemed to be a swirling wind, especially here on the backside of the mountain. So it did make it really challenging to kind of gauge what shot to take, especially with putting.
And hole 5 was the easiest. Hole 6 ended up being the hardest hole of the day, averaging nearly 2 strokes over par, with only one FPO player taking a par on the round.
So hole 7 is a par 3, 371 feet. This is a downhill shot, but we do have OB that can come into play behind the basket if you get too much air. So this is a green that is a little bit treacherous if you're landing your shot a little bit short and trying to pitch up. We'll see how these players tackle it. Nayah opting for the forehand. This looks a little wide, but hopefully it can curl back up. It looks like she might have caught something early though.
Molly lining up a backhand. Might need a bit of fade. Alright, well that'll be a little short, but she should have a bit of a tricky approach into the green.
Looks like she turned this a little bit, but she looks to stay inbounds. This looks like it's turning a little bit early there for her, hyzering out towards the left side of the fairway.
Yeah, it can definitely be scary to go for this pin just because there is that OB behind and also that drop off. Discs have a good chance of rolling.
Just look at this upshot here.
I mean, yeah. Couldn't see it before, that shows, but Lori judges it perfectly, puts that right next to the basket.
Great angle control there to keep the disc from rolling away.
Molly gets a little scared there, but luckily her disc sits down nicely for her.
And it curls up, thankfully.
Definitely have to hold your breath on every single one of these.
And I believe Nikki stayed in bounds, but possibly by just a small bit. It looks like she was right on the edge there.
Yeah, she'll have a long putt. I'm glad it's sad.
Yes. That is one of those putts that as soon as you know it's not going in, the only thing that you want is for it to sit.
Nikki, luckily hers had a good angle on it to where it didn't roll, but she'll have a long comebacker. And luckily that sits right there for her.
Good putt
Nice.
there. You can hear the players laughing, and once again, it was just everybody was having such a fun day. Even though it was cold and windy, you couldn't tell by the players' attitudes. Everybody was having a good time out there.
Always super fun to see. Not only, I mean, obviously everyone wants to shoot well, but I think sometimes it's maybe a little more important to have fun, or at least it makes it better.
Hole 8 is a par 4, 539 feet. The FPO players are going to be going to the orange pin position that'll be on the left-hand side of the fairway. The drone footage definitely makes me miss the warmer days of summer, though. I will say that.
That was lovely.
I don't know. I'm torn. I don't like the wind, I don't like the cold, but at the same time I don't like being sweaty either. So I don't know what I'd prefer.
So Lori's first shot did seem to come on, hit a little bit early there in the hill. Molly throws a great forehand shot that should give her a good look into the pin. I do like the forehand flex play on this hole.
Ooh.
Ooh, Nayah's going the wide forehand.
Sideline. Hopefully that sits. And it does. She'll have a look to the basket for her approach.
Great shot there.
Yeah, and that's one of the scary parts about the backhand is because of that elevation change, discs tend to fade out if you don't have the right angle on them. As we see, Nikki finds that OB.
While there are not many pathways throughout this course, it does certainly come into play every chance it gets. Another strong forehand shot.
Luckily, that one skips and finds the inbounds there.
Good shot there from Molly. So Nikki will be taking her shot from going out of bounds and hopefully sticking there. You can see this basket position is tucked into the side of almost a peninsula on the hill. So it's a very tight green to try to get your approach shot to stick on.
Oh, yeah. So we see Molly opt in to just lay that one up. Doesn't want to mess with the downhill. Good up shot there by Nayah.
Yep, and Lori will be looking to just lay this one up. See our players cleaning up here. Par is still great on this hole, especially in these conditions, so. We'll see some scores adjusting, and that leader with Lori, her lead is slimming just a little bit. So this is hole 9, is a 354-foot par 3. What play do you like on this one? I know it's a big turnover shot for a lot of players. I've seen some success with going forehand, but
I personally go backhand turnover, but you got to make sure you don't turn it over too much and go into the brush, but it has to be turned over enough so that you stay in bounds and don't tease that pathway.
Yes, it's a technical backhand turnover to get the angle right, and you can see that large tree that Molly landed under that one is one where this time of year is great to be there, but in the warmer months when that's full of leaves, that can be a terrible spot to land in the fairway. Nayah getting a great shot.
Lori going forehand here. I feel like we haven't seen her throw too many forehands this tournament, but as long as that sits down, that should work out pretty well for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nikki opting to go backhand. Great angle control on that. Gets good ways up the fairway.
Nayah will be first to act with her upshot. Gets it right up under the pin. Beautiful shot.
Lori has a nice putt through and under the tree there, as does Nikki.
Molly opting to take a knee due to that low ceiling. Going for the burst shot, but she does get caught up by that tree and have a long look for her par save. She gives a good bid, but comes up a bit short, and we'll have to settle for bogey on this hole. So we see the rest of our players tap in their pars to finish out the front nine here.
Mm-hmm.
So as we get ready to head into the final 9 holes of this tournament, we've seen the lead close a little bit. So Nayah's coming in hot on our leader, but Lori is still holding strong. So we'll see what we have left in our back 9 of our final round of the Women's Open of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, should be pretty interesting to see how these players tackle these harder par 4s.
Absolutely. So make sure to check out the back 9, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.